Good evening, fellow Toastmasters and guests, and our audience online. Welcome, fellow architect in the back that just came in, Nelson Reyes. Great to have you in the audience today and family members. And today I want to talk to you about a topic that is close to heart. And if you know me, you might have guessed what that topic is. Architecture. I mean, architecture is one of the oldest professions in history. And with such an old profession comes decades and centuries of knowledge, information, theory, masterminds. And it's not to say that architecture is the oldest profession. And I'm sure there's other professions that precede the profession of architecture, but to me, it's fascinating because architecture is my profession. And clients evolved, the profession evolves, the building construction, like I just mentioned, evolves. Architects evolved. The way that we deliver projects evolve. And the tools that we use evolve. And I want to talk to you today about why is it that we use those tools that have evolved over the centuries. What are the fundamentals of basic sort of concepts of the tools, why we use the tools, and that is lines, design, and space. 3. Lines, design, and space. Lines? Lines? Not lines? A line? Yes. A line is a fundamental understanding in architecture. To draw a line is to scar a piece of paper that will ultimately be built. And the problem is that, the issue is that if you ask a seasoned architect, how do we learn architecture today? A seasoned architect being an architect that has 40 years, maybe he's retired and has a vast amount of knowledge. They looked at how we use technology, and technology is advancing so quick. And the knowledge of architecture is like a building. It takes years to understand it. A building could take 2 years, 5 years, 10 years, 100 years, or it might never be built, and each building is a prototype. And so the seasoned architect will ask you, well, how do you learn architecture? And I know why they ask. They ask because they learn by tracing lines on a desk. They trace lines. Maybe they had somebody mentor next to them, but they were surely tracing lines, and those lines were hard lines. Those lines were hard to erase. And they drew lines, and that's how they learned. So they asked, well, how do you learn today? So back to lines. Lines are again so fundamental, and when you start understanding lines, then you can start to design. And to design is to articulate those lines on a piece of paper. And you start to articulate those lines. And you start to scar paper that, like I said, is scarring the built environment. And you have to be thoughtful on what you're scarring on that paper, because to scar the planet, you're leaving a trace behind that is hard to take away. So we have to be very cautious and very thoughtful. We don't just want to randomly draw lines. Now we're randomly scarring the environment. So again, and this is what I'm talking about today, is probably just a grain of salt in what the architecture profession is, and it's intended to be something that inspires young architects as a fundamental attribute of a professional, and that professional being an architect, and hope that this inspires them to grow and immerse themselves in architecture. So lines, you understand lines, you understand design, and then you reach the ultimate goal, and that's space. And to create space is the goal. Space can be public, space can be private, space can be intimate. And where we're standing here today, somebody understood lines, somebody knew, took a drawing, drew lines, drew a drawing, created notes, words, and we're not getting into words and articulating your voice today. We're talking lines, design, space. Took that on a piece of paper, understood materiality. And I gotta get into that, just as important, understanding materiality. And ultimately, that drawing that we drew, understanding lines, designing space, became the space we're in today.